And boom. Just like that, O'Reilly and City out the game. Kylian Mbappe better watch out because by the time he's back from injury, Real Madrid may have a new number 9. Fede Valverde forgot he was a midfielder, and I don't think a lot of us realize just how good of a performance this was from him. Scorer of a hat-trick from the midfield, most duels won, winning the offense and defensive battles. He scored his hat-trick in 22 minutes. Unbelievable. And speaking of unbelievable, the previous night, literally 12 kilometers away, still in Madrid, it took 22 minutes for Spurs to be down by 4. How? So their primary goalkeeper has been deemed to be doo-doo. They bring in their secondary keeper, who by the way hasn't played since October, and he concedes 3 within 15 minutes. I mean, there have been complaints that the pitch at the Wanda Metropolitano is somewhat slippery, but this is crazy.
It wasn't the best defending. We mustn't forget that it's been raining.
As for Atletico, it seems everyone was eating good that night. Despite the scoreline being a mirror image, Chelsea were a little bit more competitive against PSG, but you know, what does that matter? I guess the pitches in Paris are slippery too. On the flip side, in a moment where his country really needed someone to show some heroics, Lewis Hall stepped up. Incredible player. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back. Wild Champions League week. I was sat here watching 3 games at the same time on both Wednesday and Tuesday night, just trying to keep up with things. Some games were more enticing than others, for reasons. Subscribe if you haven't, or don't. You know, you don't have to. Actually, you do. Do it. Do it now. 6 Premier League teams made it to the Champions League round of 16. None of them are playing each other, which means that of the 8 ties we have, 6 included at least 1 Premier League team. And none of them won their first leg. Not one. There's a lot we need to talk about in this video, and I think a good place for us to start is with Bodo Glimt. I got you there, didn't I? I actually found myself watching their game versus Sporting for longer than either the Chelsea PSG or the Real Madrid Man City match. Just the intensity that these guys play with, the spaces they were finding themselves in. There's this common, trend and comments that we keep seeing about Bodo Glimt whenever they go up in the Champions League about how teams just play horribly against them. We saw it with Man City, we saw it with Atletico, we saw it with Inter Milan, both home and away in the previous round. And now we're seeing it with Sporting, and I've already seen a lot of people saying it's just Sporting or whatever it is, but if this keeps happening to them, when are people just gonna kind of admit that they're probably just quite good? Really what they do so well, evidently better than some of the best teams on the planet, is just the basics, just passing and moving. There was never a moment during this game where a Bodo Glimt player didn't have an option. And then we have the intelligence of their play too. I mean, look at their first goal. It was a penalty won thanks to a foul by the Sporting player, which I do believe was a penalty. But look at this switch of play by Kasper Høeg. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Høeg. It's little things like this that they do throughout the entire game, just all over the pitch. And listen, I'm of the opinion that they're going to go through to the next round. I would think that after a 3-0 win, they're probably favorites, and when they do, they'll be faced with either Arsenal or Bayer Leverkusen, and you never know what could happen, especially considering how Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen played against each other the previous night. I wasn't too convinced by either of them. I was expecting a little bit more from Arsenal. They got quite lucky towards the end with that penalty. I think it was a penalty. You can see that Madueke does get caught by the back of the one Leverkusen defender who tries to tackle him inside the box. Really silly tackle to make behind a player. You're 1-0 up going into the final moments of the game. Obviously, in this particular bracket over here, Arsenal are the favorites, but really don't count this team out. We've seen what they can do against elite opposition. Let me know what you guys think. Next, we move on to Atletico Madrid and the biggest train wreck of the 25-26 season, Tottenham Hotspur. I've said this before, I've let this sentiment be known, but every time I see the Spurs side play, I'm violently reminded of the fact that Ruben Amorim just gets to walk free. He just gets to live amongst us after letting them win a trophy. He let this Spurs side win a trophy. It's unacceptable behavior. But on the Spurs side and their performance in this game, I'm being serious now, we can talk about how, the pitch was wet and players aren't used to playing in these conditions. There are a lot of articles and sort of, you see a lot of comments of Atletico players having talked about their own pitch and how they don't like how slippery it is. So there's that. But throughout the whole game, Spurs just were not in it. They're not up to it. They don't look like they really want to play for this manager, first of all. They don't look like they want to play for their badge. They don't look like they want to do their jobs. It's a really sad thing to see. And a lot of people have come to this conclusion. It seems widely accepted, but I really think that the worst is about to happen to them this season, and they kind of deserve it. 4-0 in 22 minutes. This has to be the most embarrassing goalkeeping performance from any keeper in the top 5 leagues this season. And if it's not, it's definitely the most high profile. And also if it's not, then I really feel sorry for whoever takes the number 1 spot. Kinski hadn't played for Tottenham Hotspur since appearing in the EFL Cup in October, a game which Spurs lost to Newcastle, I believe. He comes in here against Atletico Madrid at the Wanda Metropolitano. It was never gonna be a good day for him, was it? Like, listen, I think there's a lot of blame to go all around, like we've already said. The surface. There's Igor Tudor, who probably shouldn't have put in there in the first place. There's Vicario, who should have been good at his job, good enough to not need for this goalkeeper to come in and play here. So there's a lot at work. And thankfully, for his sake, it does seem like there's a lot of support going around for him. I think David De Gea sent a message of support during the game, which I think is somewhat unprecedented. The game, I think it wasn't even half time yet when De Gea tweeted out his message of support. We've seen a lot of goalkeepers come out and show support for them. We saw Joe Hart do it the other day. We saw Thibaut Courtois right after the Real Madrid match for City. And it's really great because goalkeepers as a whole, they aren't shown as much love as outfield players. Less flashy, less involved, all of that. But my question is, where is the love for Jorgensen at Chelsea? I am still seeing overwhelmingly more comments for Kinski right now. He only conceded 3. He shared the load with Vicario. Jorgensen conceded all 5. If we're going to show support for goalkeepers that make mistakes, let's do it for everyone. I mean, I'm obviously not being completely serious. Like I said, the nature of this embarrassment for Kinski was much higher than many other keepers, and he seems to be taking in all the support quite well. All these guys also showed him a lot more support than his manager. They were doing it over the internet. His manager was right there, didn't even acknowledge him as he walked off the pitch. That's what you call man management, I guess. I really don't have much to say about the Spurs players or the management that hasn't been said by a lot of people in criticism of them. Solanke got his goal, Porro got a goal, that was great. They decreased the deficits a little bit, but at the end of the day, they were just so poor, and Igor Tudor is not the man that's going to get them to where they want to get to. We're already seeing articles about how the players have lost respect for him and aren't really trying to listen to the things that he's saying. We saw that in the very first game against Arsenal, where Tudor was Van de Ven forward to complete the press and actually try and squeeze Arsenal, but then he just didn't do it, despite the instructions looking like they were somewhat clear and him also being quite close to him and just choosing to ignore it. And you know what? If the guy that you brought in to pull off a firefighting job ends up fighting with the players and not really able to get anything out of them, everything is lost. It's on the owners. It's on the players. It's on the manager. It's on everything. And Spurs, I don't want to talk about Spurs anymore. They make me sad. Just by proximity. Antoine Griezmann, though. What a player. I caught a little bit of the Atletico game on the weekend versus Sociedad, and just by chance, by the way. I wasn't planning on watching this game or go out to watch it. It was just, I was at a bar and it was on, and I saw the Griezmann assist for the second goal, I think it was, and it was one of the most sublime things that you'll see. Just a back heel. Griezmann created it, and he did something similar in this one, or in terms of just deftness of touch, not really the scenario. Ball's looping up and he just cushions it over for Julian Alvarez, who does a lot of work, by the way, to drive it all the way to the other side of the pitch and score and make it 5-0. Was that the 5-0 goal or the 4-0 goal? But anyway, that tie is over, and we can likely say the same thing about the next one we'll talk about, which is Man City versus Real Madrid. Given Real Madrid's form in the Champions League this season, not finishing top 8, having to go through the playoff rounds to get to the round of 16, and not looking that convincing in the round of 16 against Benfica despite going through, you would think that they were the less likely to come away from this game, this tie, with the result. And I'm fairly certain that Pep Guardiola felt the same way too, which is the only explanation for why he decided to play 4 attackers against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Why on earth are all of Savinho, Semenyo, Doku and Haaland starting against Real Madrid in the Champions League? After about the 15th minute of some fairly good play from City, I must admit, Rodri and Bernardo Silva, I mean the whole team just in general, they were non-existent. And I guess one of the main reasons for that is a player in this Real Madrid side who frequently just decides to play defense, midfield, striker, every game, I guess, especially against Man City. Fede Valverde. All of his goals were bangers. Let's not forget the assists that came with them, especially the first and the last. In the first goal, Thibaut Courtois produces one of the greatest passes you'll see from a goalkeeper this year, but the amount of work that Valverde has to do here. First touch completely takes Nico O'Reilly out the game, then goes around Donnarumma. I'm not sure why Donnarumma decides not to put his hand out to get the ball. Perhaps he thought that he was outside of the box, but it looks quite funny playing back. And then of course, despite the open goal, this is not an easy finish. It's at an angle and Valverde is running onto the ball at pace off balance. And then, that final goal. Listen, all of his goals were incredible, but just the final one, it really, for anyone, it puts into perspective the levels that are required at the very top of this competition. No space, precise touches. This is Mark Gahey's first ever UCL game, by the way. Welcome to the Champions League, brother. Here you go. Fede Valverde marauding around the pitch like an absolute madman for 90 plus minutes. No City player was winning their battles. Ferland Mendy was making Savinho look like an afterthought. Jeremy Doku actually wasn't too bad in the first half. He was getting some good crosses into the box, but no one was doing anything with him, but after that he kind of faded away into the distance. Madrid just had more desire. I know it's cliche, but it's true. And finally we get to the game that had undoubtedly the best performance from an English side in this match week, and that's Newcastle versus Barcelona. Now Newcastle, they put out one of their best performances of the entire year. They played out of their skin. Massive defensive shift, but not just that, they were attacking and they were pressing Barca very well. I'm surprised they didn't score earlier than they did. In the end, it was a great goal by Harvey Barnes, but it was coming for a while. Not just because he had hit the post earlier in the game, but I mean, if you had been paying attention to the defending that Ronald Araujo was doing throughout this game, you would have been able to tell that something was going to give at some point. He was awful. I mean, just look at this earlier opportunity over here. If Anthony Elanga gets his hit up, Barca go down early, and this happened twice in this game that I counted, from Elanga alone. And just like Arsenal, Barcelona was saved in the end by a last-minute penalty, and again, no complaints from me, it was a penalty. Dani Olmo was a very slippery customer in these tight spaces, so it's unfortunate. When Lamine Yamal scored the penalty, I was kind of surprised because I kind of forgot that he was on the pitch. That's how good of a job Lewis Hall did on him. I was just getting these flashbacks from when Manchester United played Newcastle United a couple weeks back. That's a great player, honestly. He's quick, he's incredible in defense and in attack. In the battle between, I guess, him and Nico O'Reilly for the left back spot for England, it's probably him, right? It is a bit of a tall ask for Newcastle to go over to the Camp Nou, but they have proven that they're able to go toe-to-toe against this Barcelona side, so we can't really write them off yet. I do think that Barcelona are probably going to go through here because, I don't know, I have a feeling, but we'll see. What do you guys think? And I didn't really watch many of the other games. If I'm honest, I was too busy watching Bodo Glimt and being astounded by their overall play to pay all that much attention to Chelsea versus PSG, even though I did see those goals and the mistakes, from Chelsea's goalkeeper Jorgensen. Is something in the water going on this week, isn't there, with these goalkeeping errors? Because even Jan Oblak made a really bad error that led to the second goal for Tottenham Hotspur, didn't he? He passed it straight to a Spurs player in the midfield and Solanke then drilled it home. So yeah, not the best match week for goalkeepers, was it? And then Liverpool, of course, lost to Galatasaray. And Bayern Munich is just, I guess, showing Borussia Dortmund how it's done, not leaving anything to chance like Dortmund did, fumbling their lead against Atalanta in the previous round. So I guess you're welcome, Dortmund. And there we have it. Let me know what you guys thought about the video. There will be an Unai Emery Arsenal video, a big one coming out either at the end of this week or early next week. It's a long one. If you want to see that free, and as well as other videos that I put out for free and extra commentary videos, you can check out the Patreon. It is linked below. You can join for free. All the good stuff is there. And that's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.